Today, we are not starting with a number. We are starting with a question. If China launches its newest carrier-based stealth fighter deep into contested waters, how long can it actually stay in the fight? The answer, if recent reporting is accurate, may surprise you. But to understand why that answer matters, we need to look beyond the headline. Stay with me until the end, because the final implication is not about China alone. It is about the future air balance over the Western Pacific, including the Philippines. The bigger picture first. China's naval aviation ambitions are no longer theoretical. The newest generation of carrier air wings under the People's Liberation Army Navy is designed to project power far beyond coastal waters. At the center of that ambition is the J-35 stealth fighter, a carrier-capable, fifth-generation platform intended to operate from China's newest flat tops. On paper, it represents a major leap. Low observable design, modern avionics, networked warfare integration, beyond visual range engagement capability. Visually, strategically, and politically, it signals arrival. But military credibility is not determined by unveiling ceremonies. It is determined by sustained combat performance. And this is where things become interesting. Why endurance defines fifth-generation air power? When analysts evaluate a fifth-generation aircraft, they focus on more than stealth shaping. They assess thrust-to-weight ratio, fuel efficiency under combat load, afterburner endurance, thermal management, combat radius with realistic payload. Stealth allows you to enter contested airspace. Endurance allows you to dominate it. Without time on station, stealth becomes a brief appearance, not sustained control. Carrier aviation amplifies this reality. A land-based aircraft can divert to alternate airfields. A carrier-based aircraft must return to a moving runway at sea. Fuel margins are tighter. Combat windows are calculated down to the minute. And that minute calculation is where the controversy begins. The report that sparked debate. A recent article from Chosun Ilbo raised concerns that when operating roughly 900 kilometers from its carrier, the J-35 may face severe endurance limitations. The figure circulating in defense circles? Approximately 7 minutes of effective combat time at extended range before fuel constraints force disengagement. 7 minutes. Now, before we accept or dismiss that claim, we must analyze what it implies. Because even if the exact number fluctuates, the underlying issue is propulsion maturity. And propulsion is the hardest aerospace problem to solve. The engine question. China has made impressive progress in airframe design, avionics integration, and missile development. But high-performance turbofan engines remain one of the most technically demanding domains in military aviation. Advanced fighters require engines that deliver sustained high thrust, efficient fuel burn, thermal resilience under repeated afterburner cycles, Reliable performance in maritime environments. If fuel consumption at high power settings rises too sharply, the aircraft's combat envelope shrinks. This does not make the platform irrelevant, but it does compress its tactical flexibility. In air combat, flexibility is survival. Why this matters in the South China Sea? Let us shift the lens to geography. The South China Sea is not an empty ocean. It is a dense air maritime chessboard. Carrier-based stealth fighters operating in this region are intended to extend air defense umbrellas, challenge regional patrol aircraft, provide cover for naval task groups, shape escalation thresholds. But if endurance at extended range is limited, presence becomes episodic rather than persistent. And that distinction matters. Persistent air presence deters. Short-duration sorties signal, but do not dominate. In a crisis scenario, persistence determines who controls tempo. The comparative lens. Now consider the broader doctrinal ecosystem. The United States has operated carrier aviation for decades with integrated support. Airborne early warning platforms, dedicated refueling aircraft, deep ISR networks, mature deck cycle management. China's carrier aviation is advancing rapidly, but it remains in an iterative phase. Carrier operations are not just about the aircraft. They are about the system. If engine performance limits loiter time, the burden shifts to standoff weapons and missile coverage. That alters doctrine. It also alters risk calculations for neighboring states. The Philippine perspective. For the Philippine Air Force, currently evaluating its multi-role fighter path, developments like this provide analytical clarity. Modernization planning is not about chasing prestige platforms. It is about understanding operational ceilings. If an opposing aircraft's endurance window is narrow, then interception timing becomes more predictable. Air defense layering gains relative advantage. Engagement pacing can be shaped strategically. That does not reduce the importance of Chinese carrier aviation, but it does refine threat modeling. Strategic planning is about identifying both strengths and constraints. The psychological dimension. There is another layer here. Stealth fighters on carrier decks project power visually and politically. They influence narratives. They shape perceptions of technological parity. But perception must align with performance. If endurance limitations become widely discussed in professional defense communities, the psychological impact shifts. Credibility depends on staying power, not appearance. A necessary caution. It is important to remain disciplined in analysis. Open source reporting can amplify early assessments. Engine upgrades may already be underway. Performance figures evolve over time. China has demonstrated consistent capacity to improve aerospace systems incrementally. The key question is timeline. How long would any endurance limitation persist? And how does that window intersect with regional modernization programs? Because modernization is not static. Neither is deterrence. Now, the strategic variable. Let us return to the number. 7 minutes. Even if that figure changes with refinement, the core issue remains. Combat endurance at maximum operational radius defines real air power reach. At 900 kilometers, a fighter must transit outbound, enter contested airspace, identify targets, engage, maintain fuel reserve for recovery. If that engagement window compresses, then the aircraft's influence radius shrinks operationally, even if its theoretical range remains large. In high-intensity conflict, minutes determine missile exchanges, defensive reactions, and disengagement decisions. 7 minutes is not symbolic. It is tactical reality. Final assessment: why you should care. This discussion is not about dismissing China's aerospace progress. It is about understanding friction points in rapid modernization. Carrier-based stealth aviation is one of the most complex military capabilities on Earth. Airframes can be copied in silhouette. Engine mastery cannot. If propulsion constraints limit endurance, then the balance of air power over contested waters becomes more nuanced than surface appearances suggest. For the Philippines, and for every state in the Western Pacific, this means: do not assess power based solely on unveiling photos. Assess it based on sustained combat persistence. Because in modern aerial warfare, stealth gets you in. Endurance keeps you there. And in a region where escalation timelines are measured in minutes. Those minutes are the difference between presence and withdrawal. The future air balance in the Western Pacific will not be decided by who launches first. It will be decided by who can stay. And that is why this report, whether confirmed, refined, or challenged, deserves close attention. Because in the end, air power is not about appearance. It is about time. And time, in combat, is strategy.